This is it, the end of 2019. We have had a great year. 2019 has had more changes in this fish room than we can imagine, with our small online business and our family, everything. We're welcoming 2020 with open arms and hope it even gets better. Last year was our first full year of having a YouTube channel, and we have grown so much. We're over 400 subscribers. Thank you. It's you guys is why we have over 400 subscribers. Mission for this year is 1,000. You know, with the help of you guys, the viewers, we'll get to 1,000 this year, no problem. Have not done yet? Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button and you'll get all our videos. It's free of charge. I've had some people ask if it costs money to subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent, and it's about the best value you can give us to help support us in what we're doing around here. Stay tuned. This is going to be our final fish room tour of the year. Hope you guys enjoy it. So without further ado, let me show you our modest little fish room. This is what you see as you walk in. Big 180 over there, straight ahead. 72, a 55, and a 20 gallon over there. And if you turn around, there's our rack of 21 gallon cubes and 10 gallons. Then we have a rack with a couple of 65s, a 25 gallon long and a 20 gallon long. Another 20 gallon long, and a 30 gallon custom made tank. And then beside those tanks we have our 90 gallon Pleco grow out tank and our little 29 gallon multifascious tank. So this is our 29 gallon multifascious tank. There's a ton of babies in this tank, a ton. It is highly successful. I've sold many adults out of this tank this year. To make room for new ones, because we have lots. So I'll give them a little feeding here and you'll get to see them eat. So what I'm going to feed them here is just some New Life Spectrum cichlid food and North Fin bug bites through a pepper grinder. Just give it a swish in there like that. What I find is it gives all sizes something to eat. Every fish in here, there's a piece big enough for them to eat, and they get good nutrition. See all the little wee babies in there? See them darting around. There's a couple right there. So this is my multifascious tank. I love this tank. It basically looks after itself now. I just added some new shells and they're very happy little fish. The next tank as we go around the room is my 90 gallon bristlenose Pleco grow out tank, or Ancestress. Up here I just have a few that haven't gone into the big tank yet, a few babies, not much left in there. I actually leave the gate off so they can just go in when they want. There was probably 100 in here and we're down to the last 10 or 15 or so. But this is where they go, into the big tank. I fed them a piece of zucchini and you can get an idea how many fish we actually have in here. That's just what's on the zucchini. If we shine a light in here, you can see exactly how many are in here. They're on all the back walls, up in the corner. They're everywhere. They're along this log up top. There's all kinds on it. There's literally hundreds of baby plecos in here. And this is probably the main fish I breed. Zucchini is the main bulk of their diet. It's raw. I use a fork or a heavy weight to weigh it down. And this is, like I said, the bulk of their diet. They do get a lot of bug bites. They get pellets. I do some homemade food that has zucchini, shrimp, spirulina in it. But this is mainly what they eat, and they grow very well. We're going to have a look at this rack now, and we'll start right here. I do have an AquaClear 70 on it just to polish the water. I find it works really well in polishing the water. But this is a grow out tank. This is a grow out tank for my African cichlids. I have hot morai, young hot morais in here right now. They're growing quite nicely. And there is albino erratices in here. And down here I have a few Geophagus tapajos fry left in here. There is a few other fish in here. I am starting up a longfin ancestress breeding colony in here, and that's the male. They get fed zucchini in here as well, and the cichlids get fed pellets. And here's some baby albino erratices ready to go into the tank when they get big enough and everybody else isn't going to eat them. The cichlids and the geos in this tank get a healthy dose of pellets through the grinder as well. I grind them a little bit bigger for them, but again, I do have smaller cichlids in here as well that benefit from the smaller pieces. They seem to grow out quite well in the 65-gallon tank, and this is a heated tank. The 3 tanks I've showed you so far are heated tanks, but most of my tanks are not heated. Here we come to the 65-gallon beside that tank, and this is mainly a green dragon pleco tank. As you can see, there's one female out right now. They hide very well. There's the male, and that's the cave he chooses to spawn in most of the time, and he is very, very prolific. Here are some of his fry here in a breeder box waiting to get transferred over to the 90-gallon tank when they get a little bit bigger. This is my young colony of Parasit nigrinus. They have not spawned for me yet, but I'm sure they will in the future. I do have a couple of females in there, and they're quite healthy and happy in this tank. Now, I have a parasite fish in here, and many people would get mad at me for calling multifascius parasite fish, but I thought I had all the multis out of here, but I must have missed a couple little babies, and now they have all their own little babies of their own in here. They've started a new colony. There are babies all over the place in here. And if you can see back there, there's more. There's more babies back there. These guys are taking over this tank. All in all, this is a very peaceful tank. Everybody seems to get along, and I enjoy this tank very much. I really like that piece of moss that started growing. This tank will take pellets out of the grinder as well. Again, even though I don't want them in there, I like to give the baby multis nourishment, and I will get them out of there one of these days. But everybody feeds well, and anything that's left over on the ground, the snails and the bristlenose plecos, will take care of it all. Nice peaceful tank. Directly above this tank is our Lego tank. We have Lego shark that you can hardly see anymore because water lettuce has gone so crazy. And then we have the Lego frozen princess ship and a crab buried way down in all the foliage. This tank is one of my absolute favorites. It just grows so nice. It just looks so healthy and beautiful all the time. All the time. In this tank I have my black King Kongs and shadow pandas. You can see them there. There's quite a few in this tank, probably a dozen or so adults. They do breed in here. That one's gorgeous right there. That one's very high quality. If I'm going to talk about any downfall of this tank, that would be the difficulty to find babies in this tank. There are many baby shrimp in here, but to try to find them in this foliage in this tank is very difficult. But and on the top rack we have our Emica splendens. I have 3 adults and a bunch of babies. All the babies came from Brian Murray from the Barrie Regional Aquarium Society. That is my local club that I support and attend. And Brian very graciously gave me these babies to try and keep the breed going. These fish are on a CARES list, and hopefully we can breed them out some more and get lots out there so they don't disappear. Brian's line apparently have been going on forever, so I'm hoping to mix up his bloodlines with the bloodlines I had previously gotten here, and maybe we can make them a stronger species. So that's them there, and there is a few bristlenose longfins in these caves as well. Directly beside that tank is my longfin ancestress breeding tank. This is a custom-made 30-gallon tank, and this is where most of my longfin ancestress breeding is done. With the right light, you may be able to see babies in this tank. This male is extremely protective, and he will not let anybody see his babies. He covers them up really well. But there's probably about 50 babies in that little cave with him right now. There is a couple more. I don't believe there's any babies in that cave, but they're just hanging out. The next tank down used to have a pair of cribs in it. I have sold that pair of cribs, but they did spawn for me before I sold them. There is some videos on these babies when we started them, and they're just growing along just fine here. They get the exact same food most of the time, and that would be the ground up NLS and North Fin bug bites. So we'll just they're in a beautiful little tank with lots of greenery, lots of duckweed and water lettuce. So we'll just give them a little feed here. I grind the grind up a little bit more fine for them, but they absolutely do fantastic on it. I'd say in total there's probably about 40 fry in here. This rack of the fish room must be the most changed in this past year, and I've converted all 5-gallon tanks I had on there to 21-gallon cubes and 10-gallon tanks. I still have a spot for another 10 down there, but I'm not ready to set it up yet. So let's have a look starting at the top. This is the top left. This is just a plant propagation tank essentially. This is where I put plants in that are ready to sell. They've been propagated and they're healthy and doing fine, and I keep a few extra male guppies in here. This one turned out absolutely beautiful. He's going back into the breeding program. That was one of my tub guppies from this summer out on the balcony, but that is a young male. He's only about 5 months old, and he is looking absolutely gorgeous by the time his fins grow out. Beside that tank is my Red King Kong Caridina shrimp tank. And the first one we'll zoom in on is a black one. They do not breed true. I do get black King Kongs as well. There are some bristlenose plecos in here. That's a green phantom. That's a green dragon. And there's just a lot of baby shrimp in here. It's very difficult to see. It is so overgrown with water lettuce, and the tanks are so deep. It just goes forever back there. Maybe if I lift the lid and let you have a view. There's not much to view there. There you go. That's what the top of the tank looks like. 2 filters running it. Tons of shrimp. Tons and tons of shrimp. Tons and tons of baby shrimp. Absolutely everywhere. This tank is becoming a great success. There's a little piece of zucchini in there for them to eat, and the older adults generally hang out near the back. Now this tank has just exploded since we set it up. Guppies, guppies, guppies. Here's my main breeder male. Notice his dorsal fin almost reaches the end of his tail. That's what I was going for. These are a cross between black Moscows and Taiwans. I'm trying to breed the yellow out of them though, and keep it darker colors. The rotella and other plants in here are doing absolutely fantastic, and there are some very nice young long-fin plecos in here as well. This tank is extremely productive and one of my favorites to watch. The 10-gallon in the middle row is holding some Christmas moss in here. This Christmas moss looks a little bit ragged. It's got a lot of brown in it. I used a peroxide treatment on it because it was covered in blackbeard algae, hair algae, and I got rid of all the algae, but it was very hard on the moss, but it looks like it's coming back and coming too. I see a lot of new sprouts on there. Other than that, this tank merely holds a few baby bristlenose plecos of the green dragon variety. Just a utility tank. It does have a matin filter in the back, which gives it very, very good filtration. This tank here has probably been my biggest success this year. These are all my own bred crystal red Caradinas. They're of good quality. They have mass produced like crazy, and they have taken to this tank exceptionally. This tank does very well as well. It needs to be trimmed back quite often as it gets overgrown and you can't see, but there are now literally hundreds of crystal red Caradina, and these breed absolutely true. There are many females in here that are buried as well. There's one right there. I love these shrimp. I love all the Caradina shrimp, and I'm really heading that direction with my entire fish room. I can see a day when I will have mainly shrimp tanks in my fish room. This tank is absolutely a wreck. I put in these giant mystery snails and they literally ate everything. If you remember a few videos ago, we had this all planted with carpet grass and plants and whatnot, and we were trying the Lego Disney theme once again, and these guys absolutely decimated everything. Really stupid move on my part, but so they'll stay in here for now. And other than them, as I have once again a bunch of green dragon bristlenose plecos in here growing out. I do want to change this tank, and it will end up being a shrimp tank one of these days. Now, heading to the bottom row, this is my cherry shrimp tank, Neocaradina tank. This is the only Neocaradina tank I have in the basement. I have one more upstairs in the dining room, but this is it. This is full Christmas moss. Christmas moss goes back as far as you can see. This tank is absolutely full. It does have some algae problems, but it's also full of shrimp. And this tank does great by itself. I do very little to it. Water changes and give them food. I do have a couple of plecos in there and lots of snails. But this tank is coming along very nicely. I produce a lot of cherry shrimp. Here's my last Caradina tank. This is my Blue Bolt Caradina tank. And we have some gems. Look at that guy right there. That Blue Bolt is going to be an absolute stud. That's a Missouri all the way. And there's many of them like that in here. This tank has absolutely taken off and done very well. Very well. There's babies everywhere, and there's more buried shrimp in there. Really happy with this tank. Plants are growing well. There's a bit of an algae problem back in this one as well, but I'm okay with a bit of algae in my tank. Don't be scared of algae. These shrimp love eating algae. Moving along the fish room, we get to this bad boy. This is my 180-gallon mixed African cichlid tank. Here is Tank Boss. That's a 12-inch Frontosa male Burundi. Nothing special, but he is a nice fish, and he does rule this tank. There's been a pile of changes with this tank as of late, and not everybody's fared out so well. Some people are getting a little beat up as they're getting their territories sorted out. This is a very difficult tank to manage due to all the different aggressive fish in here I have. I have red rainbow, tropheus, I have large male venustus. This guy I believe is a mutt. I believe him to be a mutt, but he's pretty, so he's allowed to stay here till the end of his life. And we have albino erratices and Mapenga travassis. This girl here is up in her hospital tank. She got a little bit beat up, so I put her in that basket just to keep everybody away from her. She's had a Melifix dip, and we tried to fix her up, so hopefully she's on the mend. But yeah, this tank's pretty cool. It's just for looking at. That's all. I love this tank. I love watching the fish in it. This tank is filtered by an aquaponics system up top. All this plant life, all this pothos eats an awful lot of bad stuff out of your tank. Any nutrients this stuff eats up. It doesn't do everything, but with that much it does quite a bit. And everything is pumped up from this pump I got hidden back behind this rock. There it is. Gets pumped up and in the tank, and then goes back down into the tank on this side, out that expel tube. Other methods of filtration on this tank is a Fluval FX6 and a Marineland 360. Large penguin bio wheel hang on back. The amount of filtration is absolutely necessary for this size of tank. This tank has a large bio load on it with these fish. Huge water changes and excellent filtration are mandatory to keep a tank like this. Beside the 180 we have a small 20-gallon grow out tank for our Mapenga travassis. They're coming along nicely. They're all ready for sale. Almost all the fish in here are at least 2 inches, growing strong, and yeah, this is just a product of some of our fish from the 180-gallon tank. A lot of people don't give anything in a tank with grow out tanks, bare bottom, no decor, nothing. I like these fish to be used to being in a fish tank before they leave, so I do give them some decor, and they grow very well like this. Again, another piece of pothos in there to help out with filtration, and a large sponge filter. This is our 55-gallon tank. In this tank we have some Australian red rainbows, which are absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. We have some tiger barbs, just like this guy here. We have bristlenose plecos, lots of them in here. Lots and lots of bristlenose plecos. They're all short fins in this tank. And we have some Odessa barbs. Very large Odessa barbs. And a sneaky little fella we don't always get a video of, and that is our horseface loach. So we'll feed these guys to get a little bit better appreciation for what their behavior is. They're ferocious feeders, and with any luck the loach will even come out and eat. He's something not a lot of people see very often, and I'm sure he will come over here. Most of the time you just see his head sticking out. I'd like to actually pick up a couple more and see if I can get them to breed. They're a really neat, underrated fish. It takes them a while to become comfortable in your aquarium, but when they are, they come out like this more often. We do keep a few pieces of water lettuce in here, help out with things. I like to try to keep live plants whenever possible. But that's a quick little tour of our 55-gallon tank. This is our 72-gallon bow front. It's kind of our oddball tank. We have some beautiful Geophagus tapajos in here, which have spawned for us in the past. We're going to feed some north fin bug bites and see if we can't get some of the other fish in this tank that are very difficult to video to come out and give us a bit of a show. The Geophagus tapajos are very interesting to watch them eat. They actually sift the sand, and that's why I've put in a bit of sand into this aquarium. If you can see them sifting it through their gills. Here's blue phantoms, giving us a bit of a look, but they are a very secretive fish. They don't like being on camera. They absolutely hate it. There's one of them. We have 3 of these in our tank. And another fish we have in our tank here is our Fisher woodcats. And the best video I can get for them right now, because they are darn near nocturnal, there's a mouth of one sitting there. They've gotten very big. They're very unique. If you hit the timing right and come down in the morning, you can see them out swimming around before the lights come on. So that's it. That's all for 2019. Wish everybody best of luck in 2020. Hope you get what you're looking for. Achieve the goals you're looking for. Thank you for watching.